All right, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of the Back to the Game Sportscast, where we talk about sports and news lines, and we try to get to a point where we work ourselves back to what matters, and that's the game. If you've been watching these new episodes, most of them have been about recent headlines, but I do promise that down the line, I'll be getting into my thoughts on some of the history of the game, talking about old school players, talking about old school games. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling, get myself used to being on camera in this way, used to talking this way. But I appreciate every single person who has been tuning in. I am your host, Samuel Maria, and I am a sports junkie. Well, is it? No. You know what? I'm a sports historian, a sports enthusiast, and a walking, talking sports almanac. Hopefully, over time, as you've watched it, I'll prove that. But thanks for tuning in to another episode. Today, we're tackling one of the topics I'm particularly passionate about, as the entire sports world really is passionate about. And we're going to tackle the main man of the hour right now today, Mr. One and Only, the King, LeBron James. In the headlines, once again, not for good reasons. Now, it's funny because in my last episode, I actually referenced my episode about Aaron Rodgers. I actually referenced LeBron James, and I paid him a compliment, which rare thing. I know most of you guys haven't seen me speak too long on sports, but it's funny that the first time I actually come out and speak about LeBron, it's a compliment. But here come my real takes on the king, the GOAT of this generation, not of all time. Anyone with any sense knows that. But LeBron is in the sports headlines today, this week, post NBA All-Star Weekend, which I should probably make a video about, but I didn't tune in at all. I wasn't watching at all, to be honest. I had to work. But I did catch the headline that LeBron James, an hour before the All-Star Game, his 20th selection, which an incredible accomplishment, decided he was not going to play because he had a sore ankle. Oh, LeBron. This is where, I don't understand LeBron, diehards. They can't be logical about what we've been watching when it comes to one of the greatest basketball talents and players in the history of the game. And, I think based on his physical prowess, his incredible talent and ability, and how much he's committed to his body, we like to think that LeBron has never cheated us and never cheated the game of basketball. And now and that's very true. We're talking about LeBron James, a 20-year highest scorer of all time, just past Kareem, just past Michael for most 30 points a game, which, although that stat's kind of not that good because we all know the reasons he took over 7 years longer to do it. I'm still of the mindset personally that LeBron, in a weird way, at the highest level, because right now he's entered into that space of Bill Russell, Kareem, MJ, Larry, Magic, Wilt, LeBron, right? That's the upper echelon of GOATs in the NBA. And he's entered into that space. And compared to all the other guys, although I didn't get to see Wilt play or Bill play, I know enough about their games, and I've actually have seen their games. I've tuned into their games. I can't help but sometimes feel that LeBron has cheated the game. I don't know if that's too much of a out there statement, but this latest headline of LeBron skipping the All-Star Game an hour before tip-off is just the latest example of some of the selfishness I've always seen out of LeBron. And it's really weird because the way he plays the game, it appears unselfish because he's such a playmaker and a facilitator. But I've always watched LeBron and thought that even his game, to a degree, is selfish. Even his game, it's still all about him and what he needs. And he's always getting players traded for him. And he's always, controlling the entire game. He's never, what if one year what they needed out of LeBron was for him to be the best scorer in the league? Except he wanted to be the best assist man and the best rebounder. He never really sacrificed his game or grew his game to what his team actually needed. It was always his team adjusting to him. That's just my point of view. I'm going to just put it out there. That's just my point of view. And I think he's that way on the court and he's also that way off it. Not surprising. Usually athletes, who they are on the field and on the court is very reflective of who they are in their lives. And sure enough, LeBron James, not only does he decide he's not going to play in the All-Star game that fans voted him in for, the 20th, which could be his last. Apparently, it's not going to be. He wants to continue playing because, you live in the best era for getting older as an athlete. You can take care of your body. You have a bunch of science behind you. Why not keep playing and making your records so unattainable? This is the ultimate late game stat padding. It's like late career stat padding. Why not keep going? Because if this was LeBron's last All-Star game, he would have played. So this is telling me that he's coming back. But not only does he decide to dip out an hour before, but then he shows up in street clothes and a camera crew. I mean, if I want to think MJ, Kobe, KG, Vince Carter, and I'm just AI. If they were seriously hurt and they couldn't play in the All-Star game, would they have made a spectacle out of it, of making the camera follow him as he daps up every All-Star on his team? And just that video, that clip is so weird, but it's so LeBron because he is, in my opinion, I'm not going to call him, I'm going to say he is, but he displays a lot of narcissistic qualities. There's tons of videos of LeBron out there lying for no reason. And just throughout his career, I've been watching him since day one because I'm a Celtics fan and we were his first big rival. I always just got kind of the ick a little bit. Man, this is a very harsh opinion. I don't know how far I'm going to get in this sportcasting thing if I'm going to have these kind of opinions, but screw it. I got to be honest. And I just think this is just the latest example of that. How can there was somebody else that could have taken that roster spot. A lot of people mentioned Norman Powell from the Clippers, who was having a great year, never been selected to the All-Star game. Had LeBron maybe said a few days ago even that he wasn't going to play, maybe that spot could have gone to him. But no, LeBron had to wait for an hour before to do this. And to me, that just speaks to the little respect that LeBron has for the NBA and the lack of vision that he displays when it comes to, leaving the game better than he found it. When LeBron came into the league, every guy that was playing was off the Michael Jordan tree in the sense of their competitive spirit and how they approach the game. Because in life, people don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. And that entire generation grew up watching MJ, Hakeem, Charles, that whole dream team, and they kept competing. And then when LeBron got in the game and he took the mantle as the best player in the world, we still had Kobe, and luckily a lot of guys came up watching Kobe, and that upkept the competitiveness of the game. Dwayne Wade was pretty competitive too. When your stars are competitive, the league follows suit. But then when it became apparent that LeBron was the guy in the league, you started to see what we're seeing now, which is an entire generation of players who are just care more about what basketball gives them than the actual basketball. And we've actually seen Michael warn us about this, the dangers of the amounts of money these guys are making, not because they don't deserve it. It's capitalism. Make your money, guys. But this is the danger. When you make too much money, you lose kind of hunger. And we're seeing that, I think, on a grand scale generationally, where these players are more skilled than ever, but they're just not as competitive. They're just not. And LeBron is the spearhead for that, because he came in to the league and he was the first one to be like, no, I want to be a businessman. And it's like, that's cool. But how about you just be the best basketball player ever and then let the business follow? But no, LeBron, throughout his entire playing career, it was just always more than basketball. For me, that always rubbed me the wrong way, because of course it's more than basketball. There's life. But right now you're a basketball player and you're doing something that people wish they could do. And you're doing it at a level that no one could imagine themselves doing it. And here you are trying to get us to pay attention to you for every other reason other than basketball. Like, why? That was always my turnoff for LeBron. And then as social media evolved and podcasts and all this stuff, it just kept coming out more and more and more when it comes to LeBron. The camera crew into the All-Star game, like that just rubbed me the wrong way. But it started early when he refused to do the slam dunk contest. This is a narrative that's been beaten to the pulp by guys like Stephen A. But it's so true. He ruined it because he was the leader of the next generation. And it was never about the cool dunks, the innovation about the dunks. It was about who was doing the dunks. That's why we tuned in. No one goes to watch a Christopher Nolan movie if Matthew McConaughey and Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy are not in it. Not that there aren't other great actors, there are, but these guys are the names right now, so we want to see the names do the work. The good names, the great names. And so the minute LeBron decided he wasn't going to do the slam dunk contest, it was just devalued from there. And the thing that gets me about LeBron, he never owns up to it. They asked him, I have no regrets. Like, what? Do you even care about fans? Do you even care about the people who watch? I don't think you do. And look, I'm sounding like a total LeBron detractor. It's not my intention. He has done, Stephen A. Smith does this all the time, where he lists all the good qualities and all the amazing things that LeBron has done. They're all true. I'm not going to be that guy who lists them off. I'm not here to get LeBron to like me if he ever sees this. I'm here just to point out, it just always seems like everything LeBron does is with this calculated, just like how he played the game, which often led to his demise on the court, where he was overthinking all the time. Instead of taking the last minute shot in the first 7 years of his career, he would pass it to an open teammate because it was the right basketball play. No, the right basketball play is always the best player takes the shot and lives with the result. That's the best basketball play. That's the spirit of competition. But no, he made the pass. And Jordan passed it to Kerr. Get it. But it was every time with LeBron. And he's the same way off the court. Let's talk about the Bronny situation. Cool. Nepotism in basketball. Let's make it happen. But at least make him earn it. Did he have to play the first game of the season? It had to be this hoopla. You knowing that your son's not ready for this level? Why wouldn't you send him to the G League right off the bat and let him actually build up some confidence and through some actual evidence that he belongs? And then in the mid-season on Christmas Day, after the All-Star break, right before the playoffs, you bring him on because he earned his spot up, and now it doesn't look like this theatrics. It's always theater with this guy. It's always theater with LeBron. And that's what gets me, man. I'm all over the place trying to analyze this, but it's like I've been wanting to say this on camera for a long time, but it's this latest example at the All-Star game is just from it's one thing, but it's been piling up and it's ruined the game that I love, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And I love the NBA. Best athletes, but just the mentality is gone. And he starts a podcast with JJ Redick. Then JJ Redick is the coach. He calculates his move from Cleveland to Miami, which, by the way, I'm of the thinking that had he never left Cleveland, his legacy would be way more cemented than it wound up being. He won 2 with Miami. Maybe he would have won 1 with Cleveland. Maybe instead of 4 championships, he has 2 or 3. But his legacy would have been better if he had stayed. Because I don't like giving excuses to teams that are the number 1 seed and then blow it in the playoffs. And then everyone's like, oh, well, technically they were better. The Celtics were better of that era. Just like with the Colts and Peyton Manning, who were the number 1 seed over and over in the AFC and then would lose in the playoffs. Oh, no. Like, if you're the number 1 seed, you have what it takes to win it. And if you're not, that means your best player is probably not stepping up. And in basketball, that's especially true. I don't want to hear that the Celtics were better. KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen are amazing. They were also old. They were not in their prime. The Cleveland Cavaliers were the best team in the NBA. They won 60 games regularly, and they would blow it in the playoffs. And had LeBron, after that final after that final series against the Celtics, when then he decided to go to Miami, had he decided to stay in Cleveland and had demanded them to continue building, because Cleveland they clearly know what they're doing. This is like the second reiteration where they reinvent the Cavaliers. The Cavs that we see now, they were doing pretty good with, right before LeBron went there the second time, they were showing signs. So Cleveland has good management. And the fans are passionate. Why did he leave? Because he's selfish. Because he's a little narcissistic. I'm sorry. And now he's doing this thing where he knows the only card he has to play in the greatest of all time discussion is his longevity. And so he's just keeping this going because he can, because he's gifted physically. But it's like, bro, you already missed the point. Like, getting back to this All-Star thing, Giannis, to me, the polar opposite of LeBron. I wish every player was like Giannis. Little goofy sometimes, but competitive, honest, doesn't cheat the game. Physically gifted, it's beyond that. He announces that he is not going to play in the All-Star game about a week before. They allow that fills the roster spot. He shows up to the All-Star game and puts on the uniform so he could be part of the group picture. In the group picture, LeBron is in street clothes. Like, how insulting is that? And this is what pisses me off about this generation of players. Why is none of them calling this out? They're all like worshiping LeBron's feet because they're supposed to. But like, he constantly disses them in his actions. And like, just his grandiosity. Do they not see that? Or are they just so young and so wide-eyed and happy? But unconsciously, they've been following his lead. Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, none of them have, Giannis, Ja Morant, none of them have been in the dunk contest. Why? It's just a bad thing, man. And so, like, I think the true measure of a player's legacy is how he leaves the game. Can anyone say that LeBron James have now at the twilight of his career, if he were to retire tomorrow, left the NBA better than he found it? MJ left the NBA on top. The ratings were off the roof. People loved the product. Tom Brady, when he retired, after going to 10 Super Bowls, the NFL became king. He had a lot to do with that. The NFL but the Patriots being there and being that dynasty that everyone hated or loved did crazy things for the NFL. Still have an effect. The Patriots are all over the media. And the Chiefs, they were chasing who? Who were they chasing? The Patriots. They left the game better than they found it. Kobe left the game better than he found it. And LeBron, he's been the spearhead on what's been happening with the NBA recently, which we all know about if you've been tuning into sports. I can go on and on about LeBron. I think I was all over this place with this episode. I'm going to get more organized. I'm going to get better at going back and forth. LeBron is, in my opinion, top 5 player of all time. I can't put him at number 2 because I just don't like his mindset, and I never have. But skill wise, he's number 2. Okay, I'll give you that. But it's the whole package for me. It's mentality and physicality and gifts. And down the line, I'll do the Jordan and LeBron debate because I know that one has been done a million times over. But I do think that I bring a unique perspective. But I want to get better at this before I dive into one of those topics that gets everybody going. But I just think that this latest happening with LeBron not playing in the All-Star game, the premier weekend, after all the talk that has been happening around the All-Star weekend and how it's so bad, your best, most legacy player is not playing. And then I saw a tweet at 40 years old, Michael Jordan, and I remember this game, I watched it. He had a buzzer beater over Shawn Marion. In his last All-Star game, he was draining his knees, played all 82 games that season, and played in the All-Star game. And competed to the end, hitting a patent Jordan jump shot to win it. See, no matter how big MJ got, he never stopped being one of the guys. He never stopped. And the way he did it was his own way. He was competitive as fuck with the guys. Every time he was in the locker room with one of them, he'd be giving them shit. You know, but that was his way of being one of the guys. And I just saw Vince Wilfork, defensive line for the Patriots during their dynasty, talking about Tom Brady and how it never felt like Tom was bigger than anyone in the locker room. Now, I dare you to go watch that video of LeBron strolling through the locker room in All-Star break. Not a regular season game, All-Star break, where the stars of the stars, Steph Curry, Jokic, people who've whooped them in the playoffs, Jason Tatum, Anthony, they're all in the locker room, and he comes in like he's some sort of Caesar? I don't know, man. It's just not relatable. It's not likable. How do people like this guy? And I think he's the spearhead on a long line of what I think this generation has breeded, and in reflection of our society, sports narcissist, where we've become we've given them so much as far as like attention and money and credit that they don't even realize how their behavior is just not grounded. I don't know. This is my longest episode today, and it's all over the place, but hopefully you got the gist. Pretty much, look, it's not, I'm just passionate about the decision he's made. There's not a personal attack on LeBron. I just think that some of the decisions he has made during his career have often appeared as selfless, and and I'm sure he has done many great charities and things in his career and helped many players. But I think more often than not, LeBron, if it doesn't pique his interest for LeBron, it doesn't really even come off the same way. Even when he started that school, I haven't heard about that school, heard it closed down, that I Promise school, but the way it was marketed, it was like the greatest thing ever. Meanwhile, MJ been doing that. Nobody knows about it. Helping kids, nobody knows about it. Because Kobe was doing many things, wasn't always advertising it. And LeBron is just like a walking advertisement, and it just comes off as phony and fake. And I need to end this episode because I could really go on all day. But I'm going to get better. I'm going to get more organized with my thoughts, but I'm just pumping these things out. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you see it the same way? Am I missing something? I know I'm biased, but fuck it. This is what this is about. Let me know your take. And as always, if you're feeling what I'm saying, like, subscribe, share with your buddies. And I appreciate anybody who's watching. Want to say get back to the game, but the All-Star game was trash. The dunk contest was cool. I mean, that white boy can really freaking dunk, but that's one of the hottest topics in sports today. So that's what we tackle. Till the next time. Peace.